Hello everybody, good morning, welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United news on this big match day for Manchester United. Aston Villa against United at 4:30 today, but we've got your news. Amorim's second part of his press conference and he was asked a direct question about January transfers and it sounded alarmingly like a Glazer rimmer. It did, I've got to be honest, it sounded a little bit meh. I mean, he's sort of justifying just signing Mainoo and not buying a midfielder because there might not be a midfielder that we need, but completely ignoring the fact that we didn't get the midfielder in the summer. I just think it's towing the party line, and I think that sometimes you've got to realise that we are Manchester United. It's not acceptable to draw 4-4 to Bournemouth. It's not acceptable not to be buying midfielders and pushing it down the road because that's what the Glazers and Ineos want to indoctrinate us into. This nonsense of pushing problems down the road like it's a good thing and it's like what every other club does. They don't. So we'll talk about that. But first of all, I'm buzzing like a bumblebee's tits because I've just got back from Seb's quarter-final in the Cup. Away game, a difficult place to go to, actually was a stadium, Redditch United we played at. And an absolute cracking cup tie. Both played in very good spirits and very good players on both teams. But I can tell you the score. Yeah, I think you know the score, 3-2. We're into the semis. We move on. We're into the semis. Breaking news. Love that. So, yeah, very, very happy. And hopefully, that means that United are going to get a win today as well, because I've just got a feeling, and I'm not allowed to do predictions, but I've just got a feeling that was a tough cup game for us today. We were not, they're a good team, Redditch. They've got a good setup. And they were expected to beat us, I think, and got a very good striker, and we locked him down like Haaland. You know, Seb and Lawes at the back, like prime bloody Varane and Ramos, just locked him down. 3-2 win, and I'm thinking, you know what? Underdogs day before Christmas. We're gonna get it. We're gonna get a win today. Looking forward to it. But look, I'm not gonna say we're definitely gonna win, but I've just got a feeling. But no, look, I want to talk about Amorim. I want to talk about what he said in his press conference. So look, he's been asked about January transfers. I've read this twice. I want to get your thoughts on it. He says, we will see. The only thing we know is we will only try to bring players that we think are going to be the future. It's not going to be to save us something in the moment, to cope with the losses of 3 players for the AFCON. It's not going to be like that. Even if we try to bring one player, maybe it's not the position that we need more. We will try to bring now and at the end of the season players that are perfect for our future. So I don't know what is going to happen, but it is possible that we can do something. I mean, I've got to be honest. I don't blame Amorim for this. First and foremost, this is not some anti-Amorim thing. This is an employee swallowing the shit of his boss, because I've never heard such shite in all my life. And I'm going to be blunt about this. I'm buzzing about, you know, a lot of things. Christmas, United, you know, the win this morning, lots of things. I'm not in a bad mood at all. But that doesn't mean I can't read something and call bollocks. And I read that and I go, hold on a minute. What you're basically saying is, we might sign Mainoo and not buy a midfielder, even though we need a midfielder. That's basically what he's saying, because he said, look, even if we try to bring one player, maybe it's not the position we need more. I mean, what bollocks is that? Well, this is the Premier League, mate. We're trying to get into the Champions League where you earn £100 million a year. We're playing in the world's best league, and you're putting statements out. Maybe we'll try and bring one player in, but it's not. But it won't be the priority. This is the priority from the summer that's now going to get ignored in January again for another £60 million forward. I'm sorry, I don't agree with that, and I don't know any club that does that. And you'll see the rimmers saying, oh yeah, this is a great way, this is a good idea. Let's not rush into bad decisions. But hold on a minute, Ineos have already made bad decisions. Agate was a bad decision, so let's not pretend that every signing they've made's been a good signing. So we need to solve problems. And to say that, you know, we'll try and bring now and at the end of the season that are perfect for our future, it's kicking it down the road again. Mate, some fans want you sacked. Don't sit there like you're going to be part of our future. Like you don't know whether you're going to be part of our future. If we get pumped up tonight and pumped up on Friday, you're not going to be part of that future. I just think it's really unfair on Amorim that he's having to sit there in front of the press and talk about not signing a midfielder because the owners don't want to do it, but in the future we will. Like, I just call bollocks. I call absolute bollocks on this. I know for a fact there are 3 midfielders that we can buy in January that are better than what we've got and can be part of our future. I mean, we're not looking to bring in bloody Modric on loan, are we? I mean, even if you go for Ruben Neves, 28, Conor Gallagher, 25, Manu Kone, you know, there are players out there that can be part of our future that are better than what we've got. So let's not sit here and go, yeah, well, you know, we can't sign a midfielder in January because there isn't really anybody that we want, so we're going to go and spend £65 million on Semenyo. I like Semenyo, but come on. You cannot go and spend £65 million on another forward when your midfield is dog shit. Like, you've got to go and spend on the priority. And it's worrying me now that Amorim is sat there going, we might sign somebody that's not what we need. We might go and spend some money on something that's not what we need and wait till the summer to get what we need. If we wait till the summer to get a midfielder, you may as well wave goodbye to Champions League football. And what worries me about Ineos is they're setting us up for, we're never going to sack this guy no matter what. That's what they're basically setting us up for. Even if he fails, we're not going to sack him. And the way Amorim's talking, he's already talking about signing players in the summer. What if you go and lose 3 of your next 5 games and people want you to be sacked? I just think Ineos are doing, you could say they're doing a fantastic job. They're setting us up for future and ignoring the present. Like, it feels to me, it doesn't matter how bad it gets, they won't make a change. They're just going to take a slow approach to this rebuild at Manchester United. And some of you might be on board with that. Some of you might go, well, look, we've sacked so many managers. We probably should take a slow approach to it. The problem with it is it's too slow. The excuse for not getting in a midfielder in the summer doesn't wash. And it certainly doesn't wash now in January. Their slow approach to things is ridiculed by the likes of Chelsea, Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool, even Aston Villa last year in the January transfer window went and bought 4 players. And look at where they are now. I mean, I know they didn't get back into Europe because of a dodgy decision at Old Trafford on the last day of the season, but they very nearly did get Champions League football. And look at where they are now. So I think that I just cannot think of a football club out there that kicks priority transfers down the road and does well. I can't think of one. And I was thinking about it on the drive back there when I read the quote. I thought, is there a big football club in the Premier League over the last decade that glaringly needed positions and ignored them but did well? And I really genuinely can't think of anybody that's done that. So I'm not on board with that. I don't blame Amorim. You know, I think what Amorim said in his press conference about entitlement and, you know, culture, absolutely spot on. I think what he's doing there is he's preparing the fans for the fact that we might not buy a midfielder and we might just buy Semenyo. And that's going to be enough for some of you lot. I like Semenyo, but I think it's a disgrace not buying a midfielder. I really do. The market's there. And also, has anybody figured this one out yet? If you've got £65 million for Semenyo, you can basically go and buy any midfielder you want. You know, you can actually go for Baleba. Like, you could get Baleba in January if you've got £65 million. There is a deal there to be done with Brighton, 100%. So I find it disgusting that we're going to leave the midfield again. And, you know, that's my thoughts on that. He did talk about Mainoo as well. I'll talk about that in a moment. But let me just get a couple of your comments. Get Seb into the United Academy, Mark, says Rajaf. You're one of the best content creators out there, says Ray. Well, I don't know about that, but thank you very much for your super chat. Totally Alfie says, I saw City got into advanced talks yesterday. I believe if Pep stays, Semenyo goes to City, which might be best for United. Hopefully focus on the midfield. But you know what? You make a great point, Totally Alfie. You know, if City get Semenyo, then we might go for a midfielder. But does it not panic people that we need somebody else to buy a player we want to make us do what needs to be done? What I would rather we got Semenyo if we want to get him. But then if we don't get a midfielder, that's just crap. So I don't want City to get Semenyo so we buy a midfielder. Because that's just United getting it right because somebody else has helped us. We should be getting this right first time. Get Semenyo and get a midfielder. It's as simple as that. The midfield signing could be a loan deal in January, better than nothing, but I think Neves or Gallagher could do a job for us beyond this season, says Emily Derry. Look, I like Ruben Neves. I know he's 29, but he could do 2 or 3 years at the club. Absolutely easy. And you could still bring in your big midfield signing in the summer. When I look at that midfield, Bruno needs to stop playing there. Casemiro will be gone. Agati isn't good enough, and Mainoo's hanging by a thread. So you probably need 3 midfielders, maybe even 4. Ruben Neves or Conor Gallagher as one of the 3 still means you can bring 2 decent ones through as well. So there's plenty of business. But I'm very worried, and I have been for a while, that the Glinios tactic is basically just to lower the expectations even more, sell you a dream of a future whilst we do shit in the now. And the danger with that is, even if you are somebody that goes, look, I can be patient, is it ever acceptable for Manchester United to be shit, even for 2 weeks? No. When Sir Alex Ferguson was winning titles, if we lost 2 games in a row, it was a crisis. Nowadays, it's the norm. And I don't know how that started to happen. I don't know why it's happening. I don't know why it's acceptable. I almost feel if we lose today, and I'm really hoping that we don't, there won't be the reaction to it there should be. If we lose today, we're 10 points off Aston Villa, who I don't think will finish in the top 4, which means we've got to close a 10-point gap to get 5th. And Villa might finish 6th. You know, what if Villa finish 6th? They're 10 points ahead of us. So to get 6th, we've got to close a 10-point gap in the second half of the season. So that's how damaging a result like today could be. But you've got your manager, because of the owners, sitting there going, we might not. But I mean, let's just get our heads around that. Anybody who is out there defending Ineos and the Glazers for not buying a midfielder in January, imagine we lose today and we're 10 points off 5th, basically, because that's where I think Villa will finish. Are you genuinely saying we don't need to sign a midfielder in January? The reason we're 10 points off Villa is because we haven't bought a midfielder in the summer. And the league is starting to take shape now. You know, there'll be no excuse on Christmas Day that, well, from 3rd place to 15th, it's separated by a point and a butterfly's fart. No, it's starting to open up now. When you look at that league table, it is. It's starting to, it's not quite opened up yet, but I think give it a couple of weeks and it will. You look at it like that. You've got Arsenal, Man City and Villa on 33. We're on 26. Lose today. We're 3 points off 5th. And we are 10 points off 3rd. And that's just opened up overnight. And I don't give a shit about 1 point separating 12th to 7th or 8th. I care about the top 4 and 5th. And that gap's starting to open up. So, you know, we're not having a good season. We've messed up many opportunities. And when I look at Everton at home and West Ham at home and Bournemouth at home, I guarantee you if we'd bought a decent midfielder in the summer, we wouldn't be in this position. We'd be up there with Chelsea at least. So we do need to go and do something. And I don't agree with Amorim that, you know, we don't, you know, I don't agree with the statement at all. I don't agree with we might go for a player that's not a position we need more. I've never heard of that. I've never heard of that. I've heard about it in a January transfer window. So sometimes you might buy Dan James as your first summer signing, but it's not your priority because you get your priority in July. I understand that. But I've never heard of, in January, let's buy a player that's not the most important position to buy and wait for the summer for that player. That's bullshit. You're right. So what we basically got in 4K from our manager via our owners is that this season's a write-off. I mean, he's literally said, even if we tried to bring one player in, maybe it's not the position that we need more. So what you're basically saying in January is, we're not going to bring the priority in, we'll wait till the summer. Oh, should we just all get a refund on the season tickets then? Can I get a refund on the kit that looks like the one when we were good? We're writing the season off, are we? Because we're not going to get a priority in. It's a weird approach and I'm not on board with it. And you'll get your hipsters out there going, wow, what if the players they want aren't available? Oh, okay. So the players we want are Baleba, Anderson and Wharton, yeah? We fuck up not being in the Champions League because we didn't buy a midfielder in January. Who out of those 3 are coming to United now? Elliot Anderson's not coming. Adam Wharton's not coming. Baleba will come, but he's playing fucking shit anyway. So I don't buy the whole better to wait till the summer. We need 2 midfielders. We might need 3. Get Elliot Anderson in the summer or Adam Wharton in the summer and get somebody in January. Solve the problem, you know? But I like I say, I don't blame Amorim. I think this is a strategic public statement to prepare you lot for the possibility that we might buy Semenyo and not a midfielder. And I think that's what that's all about, to be honest with you. In relation to Semenyo, this is what Simon Stones had to say. United sources are confident that Amorim can find a solution to fit Semenyo into the team. I mean, that worries me a little bit as well. You know, that does worry me a little bit as well. Do you have confidence that Semenyo can fit Amorim into our team? Because I'm not convinced he's fit Mbeumo in. Hot take, and we won't know for another month. I don't think Mbeumo's playing anywhere near as good as he did at Brighton. I think he's a decent player. He's had a bad month, but I think he's struggling with the system. I don't think he's getting the right type of balls that he was getting against Brentford, and I don't think he's as comfortable in the system as he was at Brentford. Do you think Ahmad is as comfortable in this system as he was in a 4-3-3 on the wing? I don't think he is. Do you think Bruno's as comfortable in this system as he was as a 10? I don't think he is. So do you think Cunha is as comfortable in this system as he was at Wolves? I don't think he is. Do you think Sesko is as comfortable in this situation as much as he was at Leipzig? I don't think he is. And the list goes on and on. So if we bring Semenyo in, I don't know that he naturally does replicate what he's doing at Bournemouth, because I don't know. I'm not saying it won't work. He's a very exciting signing, but you're asking him to do something. Like Garfield says, is anybody comfortable at the moment? And as a wing back, people say about Semenyo, let's play him as a wing back. Maybe it'll work. But I look at it and I go, £65 million to bring in predominantly a right winger, although he can play off the left, and play him as a left wing back, where he's suddenly going to have to learn to sprint back and defend. Because a lot of the time, we're not good enough to leave three at the back. Most of our games, we're not good enough, especially away from home. So Semenyo, instead of being far forward and a fullback behind you, you're going to have to sprint back and do defensive work. Man City is suddenly looking a lot more appealing, knowing that I've got a fullback behind me. So, look, if we're a 4-3-3 team, and Burmo on the right, Semenyo on the left, let's go. But we're not. We're not. And Savage says he said he wanted someone like Ahmad. That's absolutely fine. I agree with you, Savage. But what we're saying is, do we think Semenyo is going to adapt to that role comfortably? I think it's a difficult thing to ask a winger to do, to suddenly, like Ahmad, I think it's a difficult thing to do, to say, you are still a winger, but you're also a defender as well, and you've got to track back and get on the back post, otherwise we're going to concede goals. So it's not set in stone that Semenyo's going to adapt to that role particularly well. If we were playing 4-3-3, I'd be like, I'm a lot more comfortable with this, but we don't know. Emily Derry says, ownership priorities lie away from the pitch and standards slide. We wonder why we fail and our players are entitled. Soon that huge new stadium becomes an albatross to a team that can't fill it, says Emily Derry. Well, look, their focus is the stadium. But the scary thing is that, you can be focused on building a stadium. Spurs was building a stadium. Arsenal have built a stadium. You can be focused on building a stadium. But my big issue is that we are still signing players, even though we're building a stadium. We're trying to buy Semenyo. So we are trying to spend £65 million in January, which I'm going to say, look, it's very, very exciting. But it's the people making the decisions. I don't actually rate Wilcox and I don't rate Barada based on what I've seen of them. And they never get mentioned, but that's your CEO and it's your director of football. And we always talk about the Glazers and Sir Jim, and they are ultimately in control and they must be scrutinised. And Amorim gets scrutinised because he's the guy who sits and does the interviews, but he's probably being told all this nonsense. But Jason Wilcox and Omar Barada know next to nothing about Man United, and it becomes more and more clear by the day. They're not Man United people. They don't understand what Manchester United is. They don't understand what Man United is. They don't understand what a Man United fan is. They don't understand what a Man United player is. They don't understand what a Man United team should be. And some of the decision-making is incredible. I mean, I can't believe that they probably sit there with a smile on their face, coming out with a board meeting with a bottle of Evian going, yeah, let's not buy a midfielder. We can put that off till the summer. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. This is Manchester United. It ain't bloody Macclesfield Town. We need that midfielder. We can't scrape by and abandon a season. What happened to Edison, says Maliki? I mean, look, what happened to Hjulmand? Like, these are all players that are available. This is what I mean about the January transfer window. There's plenty of midfielders that Man United can buy. Take for example, Morten Hjulmand at Sporting. He's literally played this system. He's a good player. He's a midfielder. Amorim knows him really, really well. If you've got £65 million for Semenyo, you knock on the door of Sporting in January, they will do a deal. They will do a deal. Not for 65, they'll do it for less. But if you've got 65, you can do it. Stuttgart, you knock on the door of Stuttgart in January, you'll get Stiller. If you've got 60 million in your pocket, you can get Hjulmand, you can get Stiller, you can get a lot of midfielders. Don't just think about Wharton and Anderson, because I don't think we're going to get them anyway. People going, oh, let's wait. I don't think Elliot Anderson and Adam Wharton are gettable in the summer if we're not in the Champions League, but certain players are gettable. In some ways, it's better to go for a better player in January because you can say to them, we want you now. We're going for the Champions League. In the summer, you might not have the Champions League, so you can't get them anyway. They've also got... yeah, I don't think you can sign Elliot Anderson and Wharton in January, but I don't think we're getting them without Champions League football anyway. So the logical path is to bring a midfielder in to help you get the Champions League. Ayus says, why, in your point of view, doesn't Glinios want to now buy midfielders, and instead of going to Semenyo, are they benefiting from the team falling? The scary thing is, I think they think that they're going to get Champions League football and buy one midfielder in the summer for a lot of money and sell a load of shirts. I think that's how we work. I think we're a commercial as much as a team. I don't think they're thinking, let's get a player in January because we'll have a better chance of Champions League football. I think they're going, the midfielder is in the summer. And it might be one. I know there's all this nonsense about United signing two. It might be that they're only buying one. And that's scary because if we're only buying one and we're trying to get the big shirt seller, you're not probably going to get the shirt seller in January. So maybe we're waiting for the one in the summer because we're only signing one. I don't know. Interesting. Dan Rose says, the problem is, even if we get a player now in January, the player will only play a handful of games. We've got no track record of spending and then playing new players directly. We can go early, but assume it is to prep for next year, says Dan Rowe. Thank you very much. Just a couple of bits about Mainoo as well. Amorim was asked a lot of questions about Mainoo in this second part of the press conference that came out late last night. He said, Cobby needs to fight for his job. I think that is not a bad thing to be on the bench of Man United at 20 years of age. I remember Ronaldo was on the bench. Rooney was on... I mean, this guy, mate, this is... Okay, I'm just going to read it. I'm going to read it. I remember Ronaldo was on the bench. Rooney was on the bench sometimes. Varane was not playing. I remember the history of Man United and nobody didn't fall. So let's continue trying to avoid the nonsense and the noise. Believe it or not, I just want to help the team win and help Cobby to be a better player. What a load of shit. You know, you speak so well about entitlement and you don't do you've not done your history at all, mate. Like, Varane did play and did go on the bench, but he was a lot older. And we had a midfield four of Scholes, Beckham, Giggs, and Keane. You've got a midfield of Casemiro and Bruno. So you can't use Varane. Rooney very rarely got benched from what I remember. And Ronaldo, well, Ronaldo was like bought in from Sporting as a winger and pretty much did play a lot. But again, it was a fantastic Man United side. Cobby was a first team player playing for England. You don't use him, and you haven't used him when the midfield's been shit. You know, you've not had prime Keane and Scholes in the midfield, mate. You've had Casemiro and Bruno playing shit. And you've told us that Cobby's been good in training. So, look, don't try and rewrite history. The reality is, you pick the team. You've got every right to pick the team. But don't start now twisting it that Mainoo needs to be patient or anything like that, because you don't want to pick the guy. You don't. And pretending that you do is nonsense. And pretending that he's not been performing in training, well, from your own words, you've said he deserves to start literally 3 weeks ago. So, look, the reality is, let's just be honest. You don't rate him as much as Casemiro and Bruno. And you can't use Varane, Ronaldo and Rooney as examples of why you haven't picked Mainoo. That's bollocks. That's absolute bollocks. From somebody that knows our history back to front in the Premier League, that's bollocks. They're not comparable at all. Where I do agree with him is he says maybe the next game on Sunday he's going to start. And if he plays well, he's going to show everyone this manager cannot take me out of the team. And I'll be happy. So I don't care. I don't want to show nothing to anyone. That's the statement I like, because ultimately you have ignored him. You haven't given him opportunities. You have prioritised Casemiro and Bruno over him. But if he starts today and he does well and he proves you wrong, you're not bothered. And we as fans will sit here and go, told you so, you should have done this sooner. And that's what you're going to get as a manager. But ultimately he benefits from it. So fingers crossed Mainoo today. But look, I don't want to mix this up. Like, he's not being treated like Varane or Rooney or Ronaldo. Completely different circumstances. There's been loads of opportunities. If you think about the Everton game, we lost against 10 men. He didn't start Mainoo in the next game. He still kept Bruno and Casemiro. We've had loads of bad results and he's not changed it. So that's his decision. His treatment of Mainoo is his decision. If Mainoo sits him down today and plays well, that's on him for not doing it. I like that message, and Amorim sends that message. He did also speak about the Mainoo t-shirt thing, and I mean, look, again, I don't really want to talk about this because I know I read some of the comments yesterday and last night. He said, on the free Mainoo t-shirt, Cobby is a shy boy, but it's not his responsibility. He's responsible for his acts, and his act was to play well in the last game. I'm focused on that. The t-shirt story has got nothing to do with Cobby. Well, look, we've got a game against Aston Villa today. As I said last night, the only thing I'm interested in is Amorim squaring that story off and Mainoo starting for Manchester United and playing well. We can spend hours deliberating about whether Mainoo's responsible for that or he knew anything about it. I think he's handled it badly. I don't think being silent when a family member wears a t-shirt like that at Man United was a good idea. He should have been out Tuesday morning saying, it's not nothing to do with me. I respect the football club. He hasn't done that. There are also strong rumours from certain people that he's acknowledged things, you know, liking that t-shirt. So, you know, and I think those people could, if they wanted to, expose Mainoo very, very easily, which is probably why he stayed quiet. The reality is he's 20 years of age. My opinion is, whether he's on board or not, whether I think he was on board or not, whether I think he's innocent or not, he's 20. If he plays for Man United today, the club have dealt with it. That's all I'm bothered about. I think it's too late for apologies, and it's too long to be talking about it now. The most important thing is that league table, Manchester United, and hopefully winning today. So hopefully that's the last time we're going to hear it mentioned, because do I think it's damaged Mainoo's reputation? Only if he plays badly today. If he plays well today, I think ultimately that's the most important thing. You know, he can walk around in a bloody Santa outfit all around Manchester on Christmas Day if he wants to. If he plays well today, it won't really matter. And that's how you answer your critics. Do I think he's damaged his reputation with some United fans? Yes, because I think whenever you put yourself ahead of the club for marketing gimmicks or stupidity, you do tarnish your reputation. But it's not irretrievable. It's not irretrievable at all. What do you think about the game today? Well, Malp says, anyone here confident we'll get anything against Villa? I'm excited. You know, the tree's up. I've been up early, watched Seb win, you know, talking to you good people, you know, last Sunday before Christmas. You know, it would be a lie to say I'm not optimistic and excited, and it would be a lie to say that I know we have a fantastic record against Villa. But I do always think, well, they're not. It's not a derby. It's not like playing Man City or Liverpool. And I know Liverpool's not a derby, but it's our biggest game. It's Aston Villa. And we played pretty shit there last year. So I don't think it's a game that naturally gets us up. I just think it's a coincidence that we're Villa's bogey team. So it's more about what it does to Villa rather than us. I don't think that we're going to do anything about that. Look, I'm hopeful we can get a result. I'm just very wary that that can become 10 points. And as I'll say on the match reaction, if that's 10 points tonight, I think we've got to have a serious conversation. Dave says Ben Jacobs should apologise. Well, Dave, I'm not going to get into this, but I would say 100% Ben Jacobs doesn't need to apologise. And unless Mainoo's going to put a statement out saying that he didn't know anything about it and he didn't acknowledge it, then I don't think Ben Jacobs needs to apologise, because I know exactly why Ben Jacobs said what he does, and I've seen it. So, you know, I don't think he does need to apologise at all. Mainoo's not actually said anything, has he? But I think we need to sweep that under the carpet anyway, because why are we talking about that when we need him to start and play well against Aston Villa? I mean, you genuinely telling me that if he plays well, he plays for Man United today, you're going to be furious because of a t-shirt? Beggars can't be choosers, and you know, this to me today is something that I and many of you have been wanting for weeks, months. Mainoo starting a Premier League game, being given an opportunity in a big game as well. It's a big game. It's Aston Villa, they're third in the league, and Mainoo's going to start in the midfield against Aston Villa at Villa Park. This is such a big opportunity. This is a game where I'm sort of looking at it and going, this is where we sit Amorim down and all the fucking Mainoo haters down and go, this is why he's better than Casemiro and Bruno in the midfield. And, you know, let's see. Max says, who said he's starting? Well, I did the video last night. There's a strong indication that he is. And I think when you listen to Ruben Amorim in his interview, he's sort of hinted at it quite strongly a couple of times. Also, we're missing a lot of players. aren't we? Sakil says, off topic, I say we have an 80% chance of getting Mainoo based on the fact he's from Africa. Man United is a dream for African players. There we go. Good point. And James Cave says, could a profile like Mainoo be a doorway to Amorim adapting his formation more regularly to four at the back? The lack of clear direction is worrying. And Alfie, on the same note, says, in a 4-3-3, Mbeumo does not start over Ahmad. Says Alfie. Well, I'm not playing that game. I'm not pitting two of our best players against each other for some player FC nonsense. The problem is, even if we don't get a player in January, so I've done that one as well. Look, all I'd say about Amorim going to 4-3-3 is that's incredibly stupid from Ineos because you didn't recruit him for that. We've spent a year with a 3-4-3 and a stubborn 3-4-3 and a manager that plays a 3-4-3. And what you'd basically be doing is saying, stop doing what we appointed you for and please try to do something that you haven't done before to build something new. Well, we shouldn't have appointed him if we're going to play a 4-3-3. Doesn't mean it won't work, but you're basically ripping up the reason we brought him in. So, be interesting to see how we line up today. Anyway, right, I'm going to leave it there because it's nearly midday and we're back live for Countdown to Kickoff in a couple of hours, and then I'll be live at 4 with the watch along as well. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in live. Absolute legends. Nearly 10,000 of you. It's a big day. It's going to be a big day. That game is so important for us today. I wouldn't go as far as to say that I think we need to win. And I'm not so sure a draw is the best result in the world, but we can't lose. We can't be going 10 points behind Villa at Christmas. We just can't do that. Thanks so much for watching. Take care. Back for the match. Speak to you in a bit. Take care. And please do smash a like on the likes on the video because we've only got 844 and there's 9,000 watching. I've got a final super chat from Tabasol. He says, what do you think about what Ben Jacobs said regarding new FFP rules upcoming season in the interview with Muad that must be beneficial for United? I haven't read it, so I'll have to take a look at that. And Nosk says, can you do me a favour today? Pay attention to Yoro in Heaven. I feel like they mess things up easy. But they are they're kids. They're teenagers. I mean, I don't know whether anybody saw Rio Ferdinand playing for Leeds and West Ham as a teenager. You could see the talent, but he made loads of mistakes. Loads of mistakes. I don't know what it is that people don't understand about Yoro in Heaven. That at best you're going to get potential, but you're not going to get consistency. They're kids. It's the whole point of developing kids. And it amazes me that this great football club and fan base has lost sight of the fact that Ryan Giggs, Paul Scholes, David Beckham, Wayne Rooney, Ronaldo, all these youngsters literally do make mistakes. You're living on nurturing and prospects that they're going to be world class in a few years. Yoro won't be the generational talent till he's about 23, 24. So we've got 3 years of him making mistakes. But you make one mistake in a Man United shirt and you're shit. And it goes against what we're meant to do with young players. And we've lost our way. This is what I've been saying this about Dorgu all year. You should focus. He's going to make mistakes. Which is why I think we should stop buying young players, because actually we're not ready to nurture. We need players ready for the now. Take care, everyone. I'll speak to you all in a bit.